It's Mental Health Week, and for so many people across the country, it comes as a challenging and uncertain time. But support is out there, whether it's through a walk with a friend, a phone call, or a quick message to a loved one. With this in mind, Lockie Cook founded the app iYarn, which encourages people to check in and look out for each other. And he joins me now. Lockie, really good to talk to you. Just tell us a little bit about how this app works.
The app is all based around a check-in. So you're giving yourself a score, low or high, in an area of life that really matters to you. Whether you're a young person, you may be worrying about study or homework or in your sport team, or if you're a bit older, it's around work and stress management. So you give yourself a score and then you get a bit of quick visualisation of how you're going in that moment.
And when you say the quick visualisation, is that in terms of the wheels?
Yes, exactly. Like the life wheel. A lot of people have heard of it. Tony Robbins have spoken about the life wheel, but we've made it a simple, quick check-in tool on both a native mobile application, but also a web-based platform that's safe and secure for a lot of young people to use in the school environment as well.
How did iYarn come about? Why did you see a need for it?
So iYarn comes back to the story. Was very fortunate to spend a lot of time up in Adiullun, or One Arm Point community in the northwest of the Kimberley. And I was fortunate enough to be culturally adopted into an Ijai family up there, and I learned about this word called Liyan. So Liyan is a word for your body, your emotion, your mind, your spirit, your everything. And as a Gadiya or Whitefellow, I came into that community, I learned about that, and it was so powerful the way that whenever you mention that word Liyan, it's really about creating that safe space to check in on that person. And so I was like, wow, this is such a powerful tool that I did for my family up in Adiullun for the Bardi people. And I thought, let's bring that into Wadjulas, us Whitefellas, and create an app to help do that in community and make it easier to really create that safe space to check in on people.
Yeah, and you also experienced losing some friends to suicide at a young age.
Yeah, it's sadly, most Australians actually have got someone in their network who has lost their lives to suicide. And myself, when I was mid-20s, I was very, fortunate not to have anyone. And then all of a sudden, when I'm mid-20s, I had a few crew in my year group, and then family, friends who went down that path. And I've got one experience. We're leaving where we had the funeral service, and we're like, oh, we just got to check in more on each other. And everyone would do anything to be there for a mate, but we don't actually have the language around how do we do that. And so this has been my passion and purpose since then, to create that safe space so you can really create check-in and make it part of the way how you engage with your buddies and peers.
So who can use it? You mentioned schools, but can it also be used in workplaces and by individuals?
Exactly, yeah. The tools, it works across all areas of kind of community. Started off about being a bit of a peer support tool, and then all of a sudden I was starting to share it with a few teachers, and they were like, wow, this would be really powerful for pastoral care. So, at the beginning of school, the teachers will check in on kids maybe once a week or once a day for those kids who are need a bit more support with counsellors. So they do a quick check-in, because a lot of these young people don't have the language to actually articulate how they're feeling, but they can put a number, 0 or 1 or 10, up to how they're feeling that moment, and that really empowers the teachers to understand where that person's at, and maybe not in front of the whole classroom, but pull them aside and have a bit of a yarn later that day. So it's really quite appropriate for young people, and we're really lucky to be working with some of the best researchers and with us in further developing the platform to be appropriate for all Australians, and particularly those Australians who've been impacted by COVID. We're going to be coming out of COVID, and it's so important that we check in on people.
Yeah, you've adapted it for people undergoing a hotel quarantine during the pandemic. How so?
So the demand actually came. We're working a fair bit with the Australian Institute of Sport as a tool to check in on athletes. I'm a past athlete a while ago, and it's just the issue is, like, people locked up in quarantine, but how do you actually check in on that buddy? Like, you may be a loved one, family, friend who's coming from over abroad, may have a bit of challenge around well-being and mental health, and it's hard. Quarantine, I've done it. And maybe if you don't want to be checking in on them every day, calling up for a big yarn, but actually, hey, let's do a quick check-in, show me how you're going in the areas that you want to check in on, and then okay, it's okay, I don't need to call up and just do a bit of a yarn, but you can know that someone's there looking out for you and checking in on you. So that was really powerful for some of the athletes in quarantine, but also peers and buddies who are in quarantine, just to show that there's someone looking out for them.
And what's been the feedback from users?
The feedback has been, we're Australian startup business, all the data's hosted here, and the feedback has been, this is awesome how we can have create a safe space to do a check-in in 30 seconds. It's not kind of creating what I was finding when the check-in is like, oh, there's a survey, a 50-question survey for mental health. And I felt a bit threatened by that. I was like, I don't feel comfortable to do that. So, but hey, I'll do a quick check-in and maybe the 6 areas of life that matter to me, and I can share that with a buddy. So the feedback is it's just simple, easy to use, and then it doesn't kind of break the yarn that you have with your buddies, family, friends, or peers. So, and really the feedback has been, schools are adopting it across the whole school environment. So that's kind of the feedback, it's working. And the feedback on the government side as well, the Department of Education are actually starting to roll it out to more state schools, which is really, really encouraging.
Yeah, you've done really well with it, Lockie Cook. Thanks so much for sharing your story with us.
Great to be here. Thanks a lot.